Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2 hours of Sao Paulo for the Virtual Le Mans Cup round number 4 here from Brazil. I'm Ewan O'Leary commentating for you today alongside Lorenzo Bonda, and we're going to be taking you through the 2 hours, a dry 2 hours at Interlagos, which is rare, but it should be good to see these guys battling on a dry track for once. But that doesn't mean it's not a busy track, because we've got 42 cars out there right now. And as I can see from the live tracker, it looks incredibly busy, and traffic is going to be a big issue today. Welcome, Lorenzo, and welcome everybody who's watching as well.
Hey, thank you, Alan. And by the way, it is a cluster track. It is nature of the track, to be quite honest. The cars are really close one to another. It is expected for them to actually be very cautious in terms of overlapping one another. If I was not mistaken, the leader did around 125, and the last guy in the LMP class did a 127, and the leading GT did a 129. So you can see the gap between the last place in LMP3s and the leading GTs is quite close. I saw even they kind of match one another's laps in a few occasions. So drivers, especially in the GT class, will be have to pay a lot of attention to make sure their car is still on the track. Otherwise, they could get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they definitely could, and that pace difference is going to be a big issue at the start of the race, because the leading GT3s are going to want to hold their position, and the back of the LMP3 class might just struggle to get away a little bit, but we'll hope for a nice and clean start. I believe we've had some clean starts so far, certainly on the few rounds that I've seen so far, so hopefully that continues on. And of course, we only had our first Code 80 last race at Imola. That's the only Code 80 we've had all season, I do believe, so it's been a clean series so far. It's been very good to watch, and hopefully that more of that continues today. We're just about to go into the race now.
Yeah, we're about 25 seconds into our warm-up left, so they should be going the track, and then it's going to be a full lap around the track. It is a it is an extensive track. It's around 4 kilometers to 4.2, if I'm not mistaken correctly. Last time I could check it later. I'm just doing it from my mental brain. I've been there last year. It's a track that consumes a lot of the tires. I think it is probably in the calendar. I'm trying to remember might be the only clockwise track, or no, sorry, counterclockwise track. Maybe if Suzuka's in it as is in there, it might be also the only two tracks that are anti-clockwise. So it is a little bit different than what the drivers are used to driving, and they're gonna have to be very cautious on how the tires are going to work out, because, like, again, it is a very abrasive track. It has a lot of deep braking points. So as we have non-essential personnel, so they have to be very cautious about it as well.
Yeah, it looks pretty hot out there right now. The sun is absolutely beating down on the circuit, so that's just going to make their tyre problems even worse if they're going to have any. Let's just have a quick note of the standings in LMP3. Currently, we've got leading number 33 Team Rookie Monsters, who's starting that car, and Antonovsky is going to be starting that car today, and Speedy Mite are second, just 4 points behind them in LMP3, and then Caspian Motorsport just a little bit further back in third. I feel like those three cars are maybe the only real contenders, but maybe if anyone has a very good last 4 rounds, then maybe they'll jump themselves up the order as well. Let's just go to the GT3 standings as well, just to remind you before this race gets underway. Number 62, Zancho, currently leading with 80 points. That's 2 second places and a first. And then Wave 3 Me Sports are second, just 2 points behind, with 2 first places and a fourth, I believe, last time around in Imola. So nice and close up the top of the standings as we're on our formation lap now, just coming between turn 3 and 4. So, Lorenzo, why don't you run us through the LMP3 grid to start off with?
Yeah, so we got Lazaro Filipakos from Speedy Mine in first place, followed by Timotei Andonovsky in second from Team Rookie Monsters. Artem Akiol from Caspian Motorsport is in third. Danilas Merglio is in fourth for WeFrame Esports, and then followed by Arjen Veltens from Scuderia Leone, and in sixth place is Cameron Sanzano Ruben Correa Alves from Scuderia Leone is in 7th, followed by Lorenzo Di Ciucci from Drive Gaming Seat Racing. Alexander Jones, also from Speedy Mind, is in 9th, followed by David Young, and that to close out your top 10. Then we have Speedy Mind in Yellow Bisbergen, Ben Moorman from Team Rookie Monster, Lorenzo Caponi in Energy Racing is in 13th, followed by Bill Orell from American Autosport. David Martinez is speeding live in 15. Robert Timpton is in 16 for Seawolf That Racing Motorsport. Mike McGear in the M2 Racing is 17th, followed by Luca Burke from Speedy Mind. And rounding out your LMP3 field is Jeffrey Backer from OSR Endurance.
Yeah, and just quickly running through the GT3 order because it's a very short lap and we haven't quite got time to go through the whole order. We'll just go through the top 5. Wave 3 Me Sports 20th overall and first in GT3. Lorenzo Arisi is going to be starting that car ahead of Gianluca Di Matteo in second. Daniele Brambilla is going to be in third. Then 2 Zancho cars, 4th and 5th. James Johnson and Olivier Fortin will be starting those cars. But now we're just coming up towards Juncal for the first time in this race on the formation lap. And we're about to get the 2 hours of Sao Paulo underway. Lazarus Philippakos going to be setting the pace. And when he goes, the race will be underway for 2 hours of racing. The white car leading the order against Andonovsky and Akiol in third. Just holding the field now as the GT3s come through Juncal as well. Coming up through this long looping left-hander. Ready for the start of this race. Waiting until Lazaros Philippakos hits or comes off the pit limiter and will go. Waiting a bit longer till we hit the 2 hour mark. And there we go. We're nearly there. We're not quite there. When they hit the line, they will go. And there we go. Finally, after a long hold of anticipation there, Lazaros Philippakos does finally get underway. Andonovsky is going to be second and Akio third. It looks all clean and tidy through the first couple of corners. The Senna S for the first time as Lazaros actually getting a bit of a gap there, already 7/10 ahead as the GT3s also begin now. It's a much better start for Arisi this time as the top 3 seem to skip away from the rest of the GT3 field. Looks like it's all clean down in the pack as well. Not much positional change, but most importantly, a clean start.
Yeah, most importantly, clean start, I think, because of the holdout in the LMP3 field. I think the GT3 felt the same way, and that's why they didn't launch, because it is quite infamous that the launch on the Senna S it's quite complicated. You can get like 3-4 wide into Senna S, and then it gets closer because it is a little bit of a pinch. So good on the drivers to keep that awareness of not going to 4 wide, 3 wide, and just play it safe for the first few laps, and then find your own pace and make moves.
Yeah, it looks like the top 7 maybe are getting away a little bit. Number 46 car, that is Speedy Martin. Alexander Jones looks like he's not got off to the best start at the moment. He's holding up a bit of a train behind him. But as we come across the line for the first time, it's Philippakos and in first, and then Team Rookie Monsters and Caspian Motorsport behind in second and third. Everybody getting round the first lap very cleanly indeed. All 42 cars still running, still all running in one long line, it seems, in both of the classes. Not many moves being made so far, just keeping their powder dry for an assault at the end or a bit later on in this race. But yeah, looks all clean and tidy so far.
Yeah, we have already a few stop and goes and drive-through penalties for some of the drivers, in Timothy Andonovsky, Bill Worrell, and also Rob Timpin, which, if I recall correctly, might be penalties assigned from the previous rounds. You can't correct me on that, Ewan.
Yeah, no, that is the penalties assigned from the previous round. Instead of having to serve them in the round where they're committed at the start of the next race, they come in and serve their penalties. So we'll have to see after that wave of penalties who's going to be where. Something that's a bit surprising to me actually is Luca Burke. He's currently second in the championship in LMP3, but he's all the way down in 18th position, currently stuck behind Mike McGear in the 2 Racing LMP3 car there, just at the final corner right now, and the leaders are about to cross the line. So he's a long way off of the lead at the moment, and not been a great race to start off with for him.
I think Luca hasn't got the luck of the job for this one. Well, we can talk about that Luca and Speedy Mind are a very competent team. They race in the VEC. They're a highly competent LMP2 team. But I think for this one, I think Luca just got the short straw because Interlago is a very complicated track. It's quite hard for you to master, as we have a move down in the front. I think that was Lorenzo Capani and Ben Burman going side to side over the Lago and going into the Laranjinha. So Caponi just making the overtake on Burman. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher a few names over here. So get ready for Butcher Name 2000 and 2020. So yeah, it is going to be quite complicated for Burke. He's going to get McGear into the pits. So the problem for Burke is handling that traffic. If he is fast, the problem is making overtakes. There is some space for overtakes, but it comes with the cost.
Yeah, it does. The main opportunity is definitely down to turn one, and that looks like it has just been executed by James Johnson, who's just got ahead of Daniele Brambilla for third place in GT3. And now Brambilla's under even more pressure as they come into the middle sector. They're almost on top of each other right now as they run through turn number 8 and now 9. This swooping kind of hairpin of a left-hander and then another hairpin right-hander. This is an incredibly close battle pack at the moment for GT3. James Johnson's going to want to get away from this one and try to chase down the Wave Freedom Esports car that's currently leading that class, because those two are the two championship protagonists for the moment. I know it's early to be talking about that, especially with the double length Le Mans race at the end of the year, but it's worth keeping an eye on that championship battle as Brambilla now starting to lose a bit more pace here. He's getting slipstreamed at the moment by the other Zancho car. That's Olivier Fortin, who's just going to go to the inside here. And he does get that move done wide, oh, very wide for Olivier Fortin. He's gone completely off the track and he's lost a few positions there. Not ideal for the Zancho car there.
Yeah, I think the problem for Fortin is that I think he forced his way into the Senna S. They were going door to door all the way from the start-finish line and then going to the Senna S. And unfortunately, for Fortin, if you try to push your way out, it gets complicated. You know, you're not going to get the result that you actually initially expectate. So that's why you got dropped down, not just one, but if I'm not mistaken, that was 3 positions because... well, that's what happens when you try to force your way in.
Yeah, unfortunately it hasn't quite worked out for him, because he has dropped all the way down to 7th now. Fortin and Christian Pallison has got all the way from about 7th place. He's up to 4th now, ahead of Mantis Rekus. Oh.
No, I was going to mention that because of that fight with Brambilla, once again, Fortin and Brambilla came into brawl right around the Ciudad Lago, and it nearly caused a 4-car pileup.
Yeah, that could have been a bit of a problem for those guys there. The two in GT3 look like they're running away a little bit with this one at the moment. Meanwhile, the battles are continuing on behind. The number 74 just closing in on the 57. That is the battle for 6th position, Fortin and Marco Mazzetti, as Brambilla has dropped all the way down to 9th position there after that mistake, and there's still battling going on down in the pack. I do believe that is Lewis McGlade maybe battling around. Yes, he is. Number 67's Anju car battling with the Pushrod Racing and Caspian Motorsport Junior cars. A bit of a 3-way battle going on into turn number 4. This could get a little bit messy, but they all stick in line for now. And we've got a bit of a slower car on the back straight as well. On the front straight, sorry. The 54 Satellite Racing Ryan Walker GT3 is going very slowly at the moment. I'm not really sure whether he's just letting everyone through, or if he's just if he actually has a problem here. But he's going very slowly, coming down to turn 1.
Look at the front. Look at the front right of the car of Ryan's. It is all bent, so there's a good chance he might have got suspension damage.
Yeah, and given how slowly he's going around at the moment, I would say that He's probably got suspension damage there right now as well, as the second place car, Timotesh Andonovsky, comes into the pit lane, P number 19 now, and he's going to drop all the way down the GT3 field with this stop and go penalty for himself that he picked up, or one of his teammates picked up on the last round, and Ryan Walker's actually stopped on the back straight now between turn 3 and 4.
And right now there is a four-car pile in a four-car train, starting from David Yont, going from Lorenzo De Sciucci's, Yellow Binsbergen, and Lorenzo Caponi. And also Ben Burman. See, I got the name right, people. So I still get the names right sometimes. Going all the way down for a battle in the top 10, but Young still managing to retain and keep that train under check.
Yeah, he is, and we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 right now. The number 17 car, that is OCR Endurance. Jeffrey Backer has had a bit of a spin there, but he's recovered, so we're going to continue on with this battle with David Yunt holding up. Well, I wouldn't say holding up, but he's just defending rather smartly at the moment. He's got the 37 and the 29 just behind him. Speedy Mike Racing and Energy Racing, both in behind him at the moment. Looks like they're all getting a bit close. Coming out of turn number 3, and looks like Binsbergen is under a little bit of pressure here from Lorenzo Caponi. Let's see if there's going to be a dive into turn number 4. Yes, there is. Down the inside for Lorenzo Caponi. Looks like he's going to get that move done. He does indeed. A little bit close on the exit of turn number 4. But it looks like he has got that move done, and he is up to 9th.
Yeah, good move from Caponi, diving on the inside of the Descida do Lago. Had he not actually dived in, it could have gone very wrong for both drivers, because that curve doesn't seem like off camber, but it's kind of a late apex. So it's when you take that late apex, it's quite problematic, because once you take the apex, you need some room to have a runoff, and that outside part of the track doesn't give you any favors.
No, not particularly, and well, at least there is some tarmac runoff on the edge of there, but you don't really want to be using it because it's much slower than actually going on the normal racing line, obviously. So, yellow flag in sector 1. We've just had a spin at turn 1, and that's the number 77 car, all the way down in 39th overall. Pushrod Racing and Mark Torres just with a quick spin there, but we'll continue on here. The battle for second looks like it's maybe hotting up a little bit. Akiol and Smariglio for Caspian and Waveframe Esports. They look like they're getting a little bit closer as there's battles going all the way up and down the grid right now. Apologies for missing some of these, because there is literally battles going on everywhere at the moment, including the one for second, including the one for fourth going on, I believe, at the moment. No, that was 5th place, with Ruben Correa Alves just going a little bit wide there as well. So yeah, battles all the way up and down the field right now, and it's hard to know where to look.
It's kind of complicated for us to find a good rhythm and try to commentate battles, because Interlagos is such a cluster track. Again, like we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, we're going to be seeing battles left and right, and that's just the nature of the track. Everybody's keeping it close. It isn't a huge track like a Spa or something of the sort, or something of that nature where you see the cars more spread out.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely hectic race. Well, it already is, because there's almost the front of the LMP3 field have caught the back of the GT3 field, and now the lappery will begin with Lazaros Philippakos just going to dive inside the number 93 car, Satellite Racing, and this is where the real race begins, because the traffic management round here will be so crucial and will probably win the race for whoever is going to be victorious at the end of this one. Philippakos gets through his first 2 GT3 cars with relative ease for now, but there's going to be a lot more of that to come over the next 2 hours.
Boy, and you can see one of the Audis actually having a little bit of a wiggle in the number 21 Audi in the track, which is, I think that is Mark Torres. And that is Mark Torres from Pushrod, nearly going off track and making the life of Daniel Smerglio a little bit more scarier than usual. It wasn't a code brown per se, but it was a little bit scarier. And Lazarus, when he was overtaking Torres, nearly came door to door, and that could have gone very wrong for the driver for Speedy Mite.
Oh dear, 77 is off actually there. Mark Torres not having a good time. He's already had a spin at turn 1, and he's just been off again at turn 8, so not a good day for him so far. But the battle for the lead has closed up. Just 0.5 of a second between Lazaros Philippakos and Erdem Akiol. at the front of this race. Incredibly important for both of these guys to try and negotiate the traffic as quickly and cleanly as possible. As Akio just in the slipstream right now. Don't know if he's going to be close enough. He's probably not going to dive up the inside this early on in the race. Way too far back for now, so he's just going to wait for an opportunity in traffic maybe, or an opportunity anywhere really. He's going to need to take the first one he can get though, because he might not get very many.
And for Akio, the thing is, he needs to be very patient, especially if we are to talking about championship standing. He's in third place, but from what I judged in a few races, especially the first race, he had the pace. Oh, nearly came into contact with one of the satellite Aston Martins. But he has the pace to basically win all races, and he actually won the second race, but he always comes up short with something happening.
Yeah, and that kind of thing was apparent, especially in the first round, only scoring 10 points, which is looks a bit out of place with the rest of his results so far this season. So let's hope that he and that team can keep it on the road for this race and see if they can get a good result as the traffic really gets tight down here into this right-handed hairpin. Right now, Philippakos negotiated it, the lap car on the entry to the corner, and on the exit, Akio was really slowed down through that downhill left-hander. Very tricky on your own, and even more tricky while trying to go around the outside of a GT3, and that has really separated that top two apart. But the top four really are running away with this with a 7-second margin back to another group of three who are battling very hard over fifth.
And talking about that group over fifth, Ruben Correa Alves actually managed to overtake Cameron Sanzano due to the traffic, and also Sanzano making a few mistakes, but that also brings Alexander Jones into the fray, and not far behind. David Jones is actually catching that train just because of the traffic itself, and bringing also another train right behind them.
Yeah, it's something we tend to see, really, the clumping of the traffic, especially around tight circuits. We see it in real life, and we obviously see it in the VC and here in the VLMC as well. This is where it's going to get really busy, though. We've got, I don't know, the top, let me just work this out for a second. The top 18 cars in GT3 are basically running in one long line, and the biggest gap between them is about 3 to 5 seconds. So this is probably the most crucial part of the race, because the traffic will never be this tightly packed ever again. So this is extremely important, and this is where the accidents are most likely to happen.
Absolutely. It's kind of like you have to be a Fernando Alonso if you really want to try to navigate through traffic, dodging left and right, up and down. Well, not up and down, but still, you really want to be as fast as possible and efficient as possible so you can clear out the traffic. And you can see Lázaro Zardim and Danilo doing that kind of job. They're being most aggressive and overtaking those cars, but still, they're still surviving, so good for them.
Yeah, but they might not survive through this traffic. We'll have to wait and see, as the top three are so close right now. They're all within 4/10 of each other, but it's not worth looking at the timing screen right now. It's probably better to just watch and enjoy this on-track battle as Philippakos is leading them up towards the number 75 car in GT3 at the moment. Let's see if he can dive into number 4. He's going to have to wait round this corner, maybe lose a little bit of time, making this group pack up again. Which way is he going to go, right or left? He's going to take the inside into turn number 6. He's going to get that move done. Smariglio is going to just have to stick behind. Oh, he's gone for the dive up the inside. Whoa. And he's forced the GT3 way off there. That was a little bit rude to barge his way in there, but he has gained a bit of time on his LMP3 rivals, so I guess he'll think that was a justified move in his case, but the driver of the number 75 will probably feel a little bit aggrieved by that move there.
If you wanted to actually make a report, he could actually gotten away with it, because that was an overly aggressive move by Smariglio into the Laranjinha. So therefore, it's complicated for you to make safe overtakes, but well, it's the nature of the cars. You really want to be fast and you want to lose time. So the problem is, how well can you overtake without making crashes?
Well, even with that overtake, Smariglio is now under big pressure from Velton's just behind him in the 50, but there's no room for a move to... Oh, there's a bit of an accident just in front of them. The number 69 car stopped on the road. They've all negotiated that well, but that was a bit of a squeaky moment for them. That was incredibly dangerous, but and there's literally nowhere where the 69 can actually spin around here because the traffic is almost absolutely constant for that Aston Martin. But anyway, up to the lead of this race, and it's getting incredibly messy with GT3s pulling off and trying to get out of the way of this battle. Philip Arcos is in under lots of pressure right now from Akiol, right on the back of Philip Arcos as they come up into traffic. This is the number 99 in the way now. Pushrod Racing just trying to race their own race here. Philip Arcos right on the outside of this left-hander. He's actually done that, negotiated that very well indeed. Up towards this right-hander in hairpin as well now. The top four incredibly close together. Line astern, almost nose to tail, pushing each other around this circuit right now. This is incredibly exciting to watch at the moment. Final braking zone for Philip Arcos. Tries to get down the inside of that GT3. Can't quite do it, and now he's under big pressure from Akio.
Yeah, Akio making a mistake over the Junção, therefore allowing Meriglio to come in closer and work the draft. As you can see, he puts the car on the outside. They're going side to side into turn 1 into the Senna S. He goes now, tries to dive down on the inside, late braking, locks the brakes. Akio allows Meriglio to come in, door-to-door action. Here they come on the exit of the Senna S, and Akio is still retaining position.
Just about, but he's lost a lot of momentum there, has Meriglio. Now he's under pressure from Veltons coming in behind. He's gone round the outside totally. Let's see if he can outbrake him into turn number 4. Yes, he does already. He's behind. He's in front even before the braking zone, and that's the kind of risk you have to take to overtake. But it could really not pay off for you if the move doesn't come off. Then there could be serious trouble, and you could lose a lot of positions when the cars are. It's so close like this. It's so easy to lose positions when you're trying to make positions.
Yeah, when you're talking about losing positions, making positions, let's talk a little bit about also Alexander Jones. Alex Jones was like in 8th or 9th place last time we checked. Now he's in 6th. Just due to the traffic, he overtook Jon, he overtook Capone, so he's just trying to now stay within contact of Ruben Correa Alves, which is actually getting, again, prejudiced by traffic. But for Jones, same thing. He just got over the Bico de Pato and he's not working in one little bit, and now he's going over the Junção and overtakes the car.
Yeah, these three are incredibly close at the moment for second position. Also, what's been going on, you've been seeing it maybe on the live stream, but we've not been talking about it very much. Luca Burke has got up to 9th position. He's just past Ben Borman. He's making great progress from 18th on the grid, finally getting into the groove here, finally making up lots of positions. But we have side by side in the Senna S. Good move there. I can't quite tell who's actually got ahead there, but it looks like Veltons is still behind Akio. That move didn't quite pay off into turn number 1.
And that allows Meriglio to come in and try to stay close to them. In the meanwhile, Jon with a good defense from against Capone, but Capone will have the upper edge into the Senna S. Now he overtakes over the Cida do Lago, another GT3, and still going to retain that position from Jon. But the thing is, Burke is not far behind. He's going to catch them up pretty easily if they keep going like this.
Yeah, he's showing some great pace right now, and yeah, he'll be on the back of these guys not before long. David Yunt has finally been overtaken by Lorenzo Capone as well, so Burks could be on the back of those guys as well at the moment, as Philip Arcos just gains a little bit of time. Just getting a bit ahead of Akio at the moment, as we've got a bit of a yellow flag in Sector 2. That is number 77. I think that's a Zancha car, maybe. No, I've identified that a bit wrong. But anyway, they've got going again, and that poses no danger for the guys behind. So, up front then, looks like a bit of traffic on the straight here for Philip Arcos, and he's lost lots of time on the straight almost. Difficult to negotiate when the corner is almost constant there. Kind of difficult to see where they're going to go and where they're going to let you through. But this has allowed Akio to get all over the back of Philip Arcos. Veltons has lost a bit of time to Slamigo because they're battling really hard at the moment. Veltons still noses ahead, but he's on the outside, nipping through the traffic, weaving left and right to try and get through. He's just about held on to 3rd position, but that was a close call for him there.
Yeah, and also talking about this battle for the P3s. The thing is, it actually affected the GTE battle between Mathieu de Crop and also the Olivier Fortin over the Senna S that allowed the Crop to make the move on Fortin just because he got boxed in due to the LMP3s. But again, they nearly got into contact. Both drivers, they're just tapping the rear of each other, and Fortin he's trying to force his way in and. I know the LMPT traffic takes away of your patience, but Fortin seems like he has a equal, if not a better pace, and the crop is just a matter of time and patience to make that overtake.
Yeah, it's not been a great start for Fortan. Let's put it that way. He's down to seventh position, just behind the crop now after that overtake, as we had just mentioned. But battle for the lead still going. The final few GT3 cars are almost upon them. That's us going a little bit defensive into turn number one. Not quite close enough for a move though. Was the Caspian driver, and they'll have to continue on for it round turn number three, and negotiating more traffic into turn number four as well. We'll see if Akio can follow Philipakos through. He does indeed. The GT3 breaks early, just lets them in there. So yeah, looks like it's close, but not quite. He's not quite got a run yet to make this move. He's not quite had a clear opportunity. Just good traffic management from Philipakos has meant that Akio hasn't really had any opportunities.
Yeah, but it's still they're quite aggressively overlapping those GT3s. Well, Lazaro's not so much, but the other drivers they try to keep up. Therefore, they are aggressively trying to overtake those cars. You can see dive down, a little bit of a dive from Filipakos going to the Bico Gipato, but still a good dive is a safe dive nevertheless. But here comes into the Junção, and now you can see Akio just getting blocked, and because he got blocked, allow
Oh,
Veltons to come in as Meriglio as well.
that is the kind of risk you have to take in traffic, and that is what can go wrong as they run side by side through the long looping left-hander, and that is it. Akio down to fourth position, and when the cars are running this close together, it's hard to see. It's hard not to see why that kind of thing is happening quite a lot right now, as the track is so busy everywhere that losing positions is just it's happening all the time, especially when they're in these trains like this. So we'll see if Akio can get any slipstream here and he can get any moves, but he's way too far back to be trying anything now. This is giving a bit of Philipakos a little bit of breathing room as these guys continue to battle over second.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of breathing room. It's quite uncommon, is because we see more a kind of action going to F1, so it is more spaced out than usual in this track. And now is Meriglio now clearing out the 62 Zansho from James Johnson's. Only Akio getting a little bit blocked behind, but here comes again Akio overlaps Johnson now. He's within the train. In the meanwhile, a little bit far back, Luca Burke, again, blistering pace from Luca. He manages now to actually get on the rear end of David Young right ahead of him, and also Lorenzo Caponi.
Yeah, and that is an extremely exciting battle pack at the moment as well, because there's about four cars maybe battling over what is now seventh position. That's actually only three cars, but it's still a very tight pack to be watching as Burke continues his march up the field. There doesn't seem to be nothing that anyone can do about him really here, as he's all over the back of the car in front. David Young has been defending very hard all race so far, and we'll see if he does the same to his Luca Burke. Luca not able to get any moves done into turn
And
number
here we go
one.
for the lead.
Oh,
For the lead is Meriglio
okay.
on the outside of the Ciudad del Lago. The Ciudad del Lago, Filipakos blocks on the inside. Meriglio now trying for the up and under, but just couldn't do it. Now he's gonna ride on the backdraft. Filipakos is gonna put the car on the outside, heading to the Laranjinha, but Filipakos still retained that upper hand.
Yeah, as soon as we cut away from the lead battle, it starts to hot up again as the top four are within about 1.5 seconds of each other right now. This is unbelievable racing at the front of the field. The traffic is almost all behind them. They're just coming up on the GT3 leader. Lorenzo Arisi still leading in that class. But the track is pretty much clean for the LMP3s in front of them now. And this is a straight fight now between Philippakos, Smariglio, Veltons, and Akio. As we finally, well, it's going to be their first clear lap really after about half an hour of racing.
Yeah, and now the only car to be overtaken still on the lead lap. The only GT3 who's still in the lead lap is about to be overlapped in Lorenzo Alisi. Here they come, Philippakos on the inside, which is the natural line, into the braking zone, into the Senna S. Both Smeriglio and Philippakos are gone through. Veltons and Akio are held back, but they're going to be managed to overtake him over the Couvre de Sol.
That's actually a bit of contact between Philippakos and Smariglio through turn number 1 and 2 that time, but nothing doing for the Waveframe Esports driver. He couldn't quite get through there. The battle for P3 just a little bit closer right now. Dive down the inside. Velton's trying to hold on, and he has done for now. Akio couldn't quite get through on that occasion. Stuck the nose down there, but he couldn't quite get that move done on this occasion. But maybe next lap he will have a similar dive, and maybe it will pay off for him on this occasion. But as I said, bit of clear track now, and it's not long before the strategy plays will begin as well. So another layer to this race will be added in just a few minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, and one thing about this track is that you can save much fuel. The thing you can try to save, and it's quite complicated for you to do, is save the tires if you're going for a double stint. If you're trying to look for a double stint. Saving fuel is more complicated because you got, mid to low turns, low to mid turns, mid speed turns, especially in the twisty section, which would be sector 2 and heading into sector 3. In the meanwhile, Luca Burke just got into the back end of David Yunt and Capone, so it is just a matter of when Burke is going to try to make the overtake. He did try to going to sector 2, but just couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, not quite doing for him on this occasion. It actually looks like Yunt is a bit closer to Capone than Burke is to Yunt, so let's see if there's going to be a dive. Not on this occasion. These guys have still got a little bit more traffic. The battle for 4th position, in fact, Christian Pallison and Mantis Rekas are still battling over 21st in GT3 in overall, excuse me, and these three battling LMP3 cars are about to be trying to pass them to put a lap on them, as the top 4 in the overall race continue to close up once again, coming through or into turn number 11 right now, and nothing doing. Philippakos has actually done really well to hold on so far. He's actually soaked up a lot of pressure, and nobody has been able to overtake him so far. So he's done a very good job at the present moment, but we'll see if he will finally be overtaken this time.
And here comes Miriglio with the draft itself. He's going to be able to close down right at the end of the start-finishing line. There is a back marker right ahead of Philippakos. He goes for the defensive line on the inside. As Miriglio just playing impatient, try to get a better run. Just couldn't get the good run on the apex of the Senna S, and had to brake that a little bit the car to avoid contact and allowing Philippakos just to live another day on the Senna S.
Meanwhile, Burke just dives down the inside of Yunt there. They look like they're side by side through turn number 1 and 2. It's side by side through for turn number 2 as well, but he can't get through once again. He looked like he had a fantastic run out of the final corner, Juncal, but he didn't really have the straight line speed to get alongside and really make that move stick, and he's still stuck behind that Evo Racing David Yunt car, which is going to be starting to frustrate him now. Actually, he's this is really halting his progress. He shot up from 18th straight up to 9th, and now he seems to be stuck where he is at the moment.
And to overtake Yunt's going to take quite a little bit of a commitment from Burke, because Yunt is a very fierce defender. Go contact between both drivers. Burke nearly going to the inside wall. He's not happy. He blinks his car. Nearly goes for an inside move where he wouldn't have any space over the Bico de Pato. Now they're going into the Mergulho, heading to the Junção, and Burke, he's going to be fuming after this nifty overtake attempt, and Capone having the mistake due to the blocking of the GT3.
We'll see if Burke can actually follow Yunt through, as Capone's gone wide at Junção, and they've both gone through. Yunt and Burke have both gone through, and there's a GT3 in here as well. This could get extremely messy as they both pass him at once. Extremely exciting as they come down the home straight. Burke looks like he can't actually get past now. He's diving down the inside. We'll see if he can finally get that move done. It's side by side through turn number 1, and can he get round the outside through turn number 2 and complete the move? Looks like they're still side by side. Burke just inching ahead maybe as they come out of turn number 3. This is Burke has still got the inside. He's not quite got the straight line speed though, and he's had to pull in behind again. The lack of straight line speed for that Speedy Mac car has really been his undoing in the early laps here. Oh, he finally got it done.
They managed. Now he managed to overtake with the Laranjinha. Let's see if Capone is gonna try for a switchback. He just can't get the room and the space necessary for make that overtake. But good now move from Burke. Yeah, that straight line speed is not favoring when he comes into the start finish line. He has to rely on the draft. But that could have been going very wrong because they were actually overtaking Johnson, and now he was actually overtaking Gianluca De Matteo as well. So if anybody actually had made a mistake, they could have gotten the top 3 on the GT3s involved.
And battle for the lead is starting to hot up now, as well as Lazaros Philippakos is under severe pressure down the inside for Smeriglio. Maybe this is the opportunity he needed. He's got it done under... No, he hasn't got it undone under the brakes. Good defending again from Philippakos. Still not able to get through for Smeriglio. Philippakos continues to defend really well. We've got the 93 car in the way. Maybe this will be the pick that Smeriglio can use into turn number 4. Extremely close racing between this top 4. Adding in a GT3 car as well. Philippakos edges ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Philippakos makes a move. Oh!
Smeriglio. Oh no, Philippakos is round. He's down to 4th after a bit of an accident there in turn number 6 and 7. He's had a bit of a half spin, I guess you could call it, and now he's got Ruben Correa Alves to defend from. But after such a spirited defence from Smeriglio, he's finally been undone, and yeah, he's dropped down to 4th. Maybe now even 5th now.
Yeah, he can go back to 5th, but Philippakos made a mistake under the Cida do Lago, went way too deep into the inside line of the seat of the turn number 4, and that allowed Smeriglio to come in, and they went side to side. But Philippakos just tried to go into a more aggressive line, try to take the mid-wide line into the Laranjinha, and unfortunately there was Smeriglio, and there was the contact. Therefore, Philippakos spun and lost a lot of precious time. Now 7 seconds back to that train.
Yeah, that front group has absolutely split apart. The top 4 are now separated by at least a second, maybe 2 seconds between each of them at the moment. Philippakos is going to have to do some more defending, but Luca Burke is the man we should be watching right now, because he's trying to battle for 7th with David Yunt. Lorenzo Capone has been dispatched of for both of these guys. He's actually lost further 2 seconds since he's been passed. So, yeah, Luca Burke continuing his run up the field after a particularly poor qualifying and start to the race. He's finally making progress, and we'll see if he can work on David Yunt here.
Meanwhile, there isn't a lot of battles when we're taught. We can see most of the battles in the LMP3 class. That's the chunk of the battles in the whole field. If we have to talk about battles in the GT3 class, I'm just trying to look for in the track. There was Mathieu de Crop and Olivier Fortunen a few laps ago, but now that is actually spaced out, as the Crop is actually just done the Laranjinha and Fortunen is just now done. There is, I think, if I have to make a few corrections of it, around a 1.5 second gap between both drivers. The closest battle to be called for is actually James Johnson closing on Gianluca De Matteo, so we could have a battle for P2 in the GT3 class anytime soon.
Yeah, that is true. They are currently 4 seconds behind Lorenzo Arisi as well, but battles for the GT3 a little bit more scarce than those in LMP3, excuse me, as Luca Burke is going to try and work on David Yunt. We've also got Philippakos versus Ruben Correa Alves. Those two are particularly close right now. But it looks like the race is just settling down a little bit. We've had an absolutely chaotic 35 to 40 minutes here at Interlagos. Nothing, you wouldn't expect anything else really from this series and this track combination, but absolute chaos for the start of this race, starting to settle down into neat little two-car battles now, as those at the front are beginning to space themselves out a little bit, and we have to go a little bit further back down to search for our battles, like P7, and obviously those in GT3 as well. Let's actually give some camera time to the GT3s. We'll go watch the battle for second in GT3. Number 65 versus number 62. Di Matteo versus Johnson. They're just in turn number 10 right now, battling over second.
Yeah, like we just mentioned, Johnson with a few more cleaner laps than Gianluca Di Matteo. I know the Porsche consumes a little bit more tires than the Aston Martin does here in Interlagos. So here comes James Johnson over to do some better exit, actually better entry and better exit for Johnson. He's going to work the draft on Gianluca, so he is going to be able to close down the gap. The gap is around 4.4 seconds. 4/10 of a second ish for both drivers in the P and GT3 class, but still Gianluca managing to retain just due to that top speed of the Porsche in the straight line.
Yeah, of course, this is an intercar battle with Porsche and Aston Martin, I do believe, and Buster Z Racing versus Sancho. Two totally different ways of going about this race. So we'll have to see what happens during this battle. Of course, we're expecting the pit stops for these guys around the hour mark. These guys are going to probably split the 2-hour race in half with 2 1-hour stints. But it'll be interesting to see who double stints the tyres and who doesn't. And that will be a story throughout both classes throughout the day. Everyone will be making one stop, but we'll see who's making a tyre change and who isn't during this race. We'll have to just wait and see, and when the pit stops are shaken out, we'll really get a feel for who is actually going to win this race.
Yeah, I got some information here about the LMP3 class, though, that Luca is on the mediums, and Luca has double stinted all season long, so we expect these two drivers to come into the pit lane, just put fuel in when they actually do the pit service. I don't know about the other ones, but thank you for that information. And meanwhile, on the GT3 class, I would be surprised if they put tires in, despite the abrasiveness of the track. They have ABS, so it helps to not get those famous flat spots on the tires, so they can actually get for a double stint normally.
Yeah, so good for them, and we wouldn't be expecting those GT3s to make tyre stops, but we will have to wait and see. We're not 100% sure until it actually happens. Of course, even with the Sepang race, round 1, that I remember, it was only a 1 hour 20, and we were expecting people to stop, and some of them didn't, and only a few did. So we'll have to see who really splits the strategy up. What have you seen there?
Oh, near content. Velton's nearly sent to another realm because he was trying to go for a move that would have never happened. Into one of the McLarens. It was overlapping the McLaren, so he could actually get closer to Danilo as Mediglio, but nearly sent Arjen to another dimension, and could have gone very wrong to that number 50 car.
Yeah, and the gap between P2 and 3 has closed a bit. Akio was caught behind Philippakos when he had that half spin at turn number 6. So those guys have just extended that gap a little bit. It's about 1.7 seconds between Akio and Veltons, but Veltons has been slowly carving into that margin of Smariglio, just 10th by 10th, lap by lap, just been eating away at that gap a little bit, but not closing it too dramatically so far. He's quite happy to sit where he is. Of course, he's still got about 80 minutes to go, so it's not a bad idea to just sit behind for now and just save the tyres a little bit maybe, and attack at the end of the race. That wouldn't be the worst idea, but GT3 traffic is starting to come a little bit thicker and a little bit faster for these front LMP3s at the moment.
It's getting a little bit faster, and they're getting more loose, and and we know the GT3 is quite split apart. So they're gonna from now on they should be getting if it is, it's not gonna be huge strains of GT3s. If it is, that might be just a few guys in the back of the pack, mid back of the pack, trying to buy a battle for position. So you guys know we have actually five retired drivers. Most of them are actually the LMP3 cars in David Martinez and Rob Timpin, and then we have actually correction. I said LMP3 is actually GT3s. We have David Nichols from Satellite retired. We have Mark Torres from Pushrod and Ryan Walker, as we saw on the stream, retired their cars.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for them. So we've got 37 cars still running around at the moment, and a couple of them are going to be thinking about making their pit stops in a minute, but we're still a little while away from that, so we're just going to focus
Meanwhile,
on... Oh yeah, go on.
so just to interrupt you, Ewan. So we have the battle for P2 now heated up in the GT3 class. Here comes James Johnson on the inside. Gianluca defending quite hard that inside line over the Senna S, but he just goes way too wide into the Senna S and allows Johnson to commit contact between both drivers and Gianluca getting the worst end of it. He gets into contact once again.
Oh dear. Big issues there. The number 38 has been halted
Alright, we'll
there.
come to code 80 in
That
10
is-
seconds.
That is Speedy Mike Racing, and the code 80 has come out. Let's see who will benefit from this one.
4, 3, 2, 1. Code 80 enforced.
Code 80 is out on the track now. The 99 GT3 car is going to be the first one. That's Pusher Racing a long way down. Where are the leaders? We'll just have to wait and try and find them on the track. The number 7 car has just passed the pit entry now. We'll see if anyone actually takes advantage of this, because we're not actually sure if the 115 is long enough for these guys to actually make it on fuel, but I don't think it is.
It is not. It isn't. The long they can get is around 1 hour and 5 minutes, so they need to come to the pit lane and probably go for a splash and go.
Well, Akyol is in, so Caspian Motorsport taking a gamble here. The first driver in is Akyol. We've seen the number 10 in here. Philip Arcos is in as well, and the number 43, Ruben Correa Alves, has followed him in as well. This is important now in terms of this race. We are in the Code 80, the second of the season. If anywhere was going to have a Code 80, it was going to be here. But let's just report on the guys maybe caught up in that accident. It looks like Gianluca Di Matteo's maybe retired from the session. Buster Z Racing back in the garage. I don't know who he hit really. I think maybe Binsbergen maybe as well caught in LMP3 caught up. I believe that Rekkers and Pallison were both in the vicinity, but I don't know if they were caught up in contact, as there's a lot of cars in pit lane now, mainly LMP3 cars. Jon Burke Sanso, I can't say that name, but both all Speedy Mike Racing cars are in, including Binsbergen, who we do believe was caught up in that accident just a minute ago. So Beltons is up to second. Ruben Correa Alves is out in third as the first of those who's pitted. He's jumped Philip Arcos. Alexander Jones is fifth. The Pony sixth. Akyol with quite a long stop there in seventh. Maybe he did take tyres at that particular pit stop. David Young is still in the pit lane with Luca Burke. They're going to be quite a long way down now. Just trying to find the leader on the track. He's currently in turn number 10, I do believe. No, turn number 9. So he's got a bit of a margin. Veltons looks like he's lost a bit of time, but it's Mariglio leading, and now we've got Arisi leading in GT3, with James Johnson now running on his own, just 3 seconds ahead of Christian Pallison in third.
Come back to green in 10 seconds.
So here we go. Green
5,
flag.
4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag.
Back under racing now. Sean Jacobs putting the green flag back out again. Some of the guys still in the pit stop. Pits like Bill Worrell of American Autosport dropping down to 11th there. It's quite a busy pit lane actually, mostly filled with GT3 cars now, but none of the front runners, I do believe, came in on that particular occasion, so waiting for the hour mark. But a big shake-up in LMP3 there, with Smoriglio now leading by about 5 seconds.
I think for the GT3s, none of them would have come in, even if they were given the opportunity, because it is pointless for you to fuel up your car and try to do it for pit service, even though it would have been a small service, a source, just for you to refuel the car, maybe just keep the tires in. But so you would have lost a lot of time, and you would have the car heavy, so the difference in lap time would have been quite huge, and you would have lost a lot of time. So it is more natural to the GT3 stay in the field. And I could have been wrong, but I saw Karen Sanzano in the pit lane. He was actually really long in the pit lane. He must have gotten damaged because that was much longer than I expected for a LMP3 to stay.
I'm thinking Akio might have had a bit of damage as well because he was quite a long time in the pit lane as well. So, well, we'll have to wait and see who's got damage, who has had damage, and who's had it repaired, and we'll see where they really pop out at the end of this race. It's going to be incredibly hard to know who's actually leading the race from now on until probably around 5 minutes to go in the race. It's going to be probably quite exciting towards the end of the race. Maybe we'll get a nice grandstand finish when we come to the closure of this race. Big different strategies going on with guys pitting under the code 80. You've got to appreciate a good code 80, maybe shaking up the strategy a little bit. Very nice to have them on sometimes. Obviously we like the green flag racing as well, but nice to have a code 80 just to change up this strategy a little bit. And now we've totally got split strategies going on at the front and in GT3 as well.
Meanwhile, you guys are just seeing over here just saw on the stream that we have a battle for PT and P13 and P14 in the class with Fernando Sorato and Mantas Rakis as they come into the Cida do Lago, and Rakis still retaining the lead from. Actually, he's still retaining his position from Sorato, but Fernando just a little bit more aggressive. He was trying to go for a few moves, but now backs away.
Yeah, we didn't see very many GT3s come in that time, and we're thinking now that maybe that is the because that pitting in GT3 is just not worth it, and you'll never make up that time. Basically, that's what I've been hearing from Ed Trevelyan Johnson. Thanks very much for the information throughout this race, by the way. But yeah, any GT3s who have pitted now have severely disadvantaged themselves throughout this race, so we'll have to see how it plays out for them. But in LMP3, it is completely up in the air because, we've got the top two definitely haven't pitted. Ruben Correa Alves did pit for a splash of fuel, as did Lazaros Filiparkos. Not sure about Alex Jones or Lorenzo Capone.
He did.
Do you know about Capone as well? Because
Both
I didn't see him.
Jones, Capone, and Akio were in the pit lane. The best one in the pit lane, to be quite honest, was actually Alice. He managed to gain that one position, which was from Erdem Akio, since he got his repairs. But good drive out of Alex Jones from Speedy Mind. Even though he kind of stayed quiet most of the race. He just got involved into a few battles and very starting the first 20 minutes. He's doing a really good job to get that top 5.
So, yeah, he's done a great job. So we think that the top two haven't pitted yet. They're on a one-stop strategy, and actually maybe all of them are on a one-stop strategy. We'll just have to wait and see how far these LMP3s really can go. We'll just have to wait and see if it's been too early. Have they gone too early, or is this a strategic masterclass? David Yunt and Luca Burke have had a bit of a longer stop than the rest of them, I believe. They're about 11 seconds behind Akio, and they're in the vicinity of each other. Not quite battling at the moment, but it's definitely maybe third down to 7th have taken just fuel, I believe. Maybe Akio took some repairs as well, and Eva Racing and Speedy Mike maybe did take tyres. Maybe we're not really sure. Or we did hear that Burke was going to be double stinting, so we're not actually sure what's happening at all, and we'll only find out in the final few minutes.
Sorry, I'm just taking a look at it. What happened to... Did Lazaros Filiparkos just got a disconnection? Because I just got he has a DNF.
Oh yeah, let's see. He is dropping down the order very quickly, so possibly could be a disconnection. Didn't see what happened to him, so probably must have been a disconnection. So, well, we'll just have to wait and see what's actually happened for him. Dear me. Well, that's not good for him. What's ever happened, because he's dropped down the order now, way down. He's now 10th, and he's surely out of the running for the win in this race.
Yeah, he's sure out of the running for this race. Unfortunately, the Pad God is not going to be able to get the position that he wanted. I think for that car from Speedy Mind, that might hurt their chances a little bit in terms of championships. I know they're not up in the lead, but they wanted to make a few moves. And I know Lazarus is a very competent driver. I drove with him like in several occasions in VEC, so that is an unfortunate result he really don't want to get.
Yeah, and of course he's the famous pad player on the VC and VLMC. He's very he's almost very famous for being incredibly fast with a controller, and faster than quite a lot of people on a actual wheel, which is just very impressive. If you've ever been on board with him, his steering movements are quite jerky because of the way the gamepad is, I guess, but it's very impressive to watch, and he has been very impressive so far in this race. But unfortunately, he had that spin around 40 minutes in, maybe, and he's never really recovered from it. Maybe now having a disconnection, we're not quite sure what has actually happened to him. So let's look up and down the field now. I believe we've got on the stream Andy Dixie's battling with Mantus Rekus, who maybe did pit actually. He was running up in the top 3, but he's way down in 13th now, trying to get past Andy Dixie in the McLaren. They're coming up to turns 6 and 7 right now.
Yeah, Manta's actually is struggling quite a lot with this car in the previous laps. He was ahead of both Dixie and also the two drivers from Kemal Kurtoglu and also Özgür Benzes. He wasn't ahead of Osgood, but he was ahead of Kemal, and he had the issue. I think he just went way too wide into turn 1 into the SNIS and allowed both Dixie and Kurtoglu to overtake him.
Yeah, so this battle continues on with Rekus and Dixie as those two continue on. The battles in GT3 are actually starting to come to the fore now as LMP3 starts to distance themselves out a little bit. The GT3 is starting to close themselves up. We've got a battle for 3rd going on, battle for 6th in class as well. Nick De Silva involved in that one. Benezes in the Caspian, both Caspian Motorsport cars, 78 and 75, both battling for 10th and 11th in class as well. And of course Rekus just getting past Dixie there for, well, that's way down now. That's down in 12th position at the moment. So interesting to see these battles closing up a little bit. Actually want to go and look at Christian Pallison and Matthew de Krop, currently battling over 16th overall and 3rd in class. Geo Team Racing and One Move Esports battling for 3rd in class.
Yeah, I was seeing the Crop trying to make a few lines into the twisty section, the low speed section of the track, try to actually apply pressure on Pallison, but Pallison not yielding to that pressure. Now the Crop just on that rear end, just working the draft here, see if the Crop is gonna have the run in. Yeah, he's gonna put that car on the inside, just applying pressure on Pallison. Pallison not yielding to it, and now the Crop is going to be just on the back seat once again, try to make an overtake on turn 3.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they come round turn number 3. Doesn't look like he's got a particularly impressive run at the moment. These guys just coming down the Retta Aposta as they come into turn 4 as well, and nothing doing there. Way too far back for the move on this occasion. But third or 4th position at the moment, not really a bad result at all.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, because Rek is once again now a little bit overly aggressive on the Senna. Nearly got into contact with Kurtoglu for P. If just take a look over here, I was gonna say P number 12, P11 in the GT3 class, but managed to go unscathed and got the position back from Kurtoglu. Now he needs to hold both drivers.
Yeah, and he's got Benezes not far in front of him as well. That is for the 10th position. That for Team Rookie Monsters there, which is going to be very good for them. But will they be able to make up that amount of time, having to make 2 pit stops here? We're just about to hit the hour mark. Anyone pitting from now will definitely be able to make it from make it home. So it's just about when you make that stop and tactically making it make sense, so that you get the best out of this race. So we'll have to wait and see who pits when, and then maybe after everyone's cycled through, we'll get a bit of a better idea of who is where.
Yeah, we're gonna get a good perspective on who might have the upper hand in the strategy game over here in this race, unless we get a code 80 to help those drivers when they come into the pit lane. Meanwhile, Matteo the Crop actually managed to overtake Christian Palace, and just before they went into the Senna S, and now the Crop from One Move Esports taking P3 in the GT3 class.
Yeah, that LMP3 that's just gone in between them there, number 7, that is the race leader actually, just separating those guys out a little bit and maybe sealing the deal there for De Crop, and he's going to have to pace down nearly 9 seconds up the road to James Johnson now as the front two in GT3 starting to pull away a little bit. Waveframe Esports, Lorenzo Arisi got nearly 11 seconds on James Johnson, who's got nearly 9 seconds over De Crop, so but behind that it's very close. So yeah, good racing down in GT3 now. The battle's starting to halt. Keeping an eye on the pit lane, really. Just waiting for these stops to cycle through. We're nearly an hour into this race now.
Yeah, they should, because of the code 80, they managed to maybe save what would be like 3 to 4 minutes in terms of fuel. That is enough to go over 2 laps and a half over the Interlagos track. So allowed them to go just over the hourly mark. We are just about 1 minute, less than a minute in the hour mark. So they're gonna be coming into the pit lane. If my calculations are correct, under 58 to 57 minutes, and now we have a battle for. I was gonna say battle for P6 in the GT3 class, but Nick Da Silva just said, "No, I'm not gonna have you. You might now see on screen he making the overtake over the Senna S, but." Getting that TV time, just good for him. But then the speed of mind, getting a good result overall as a team.
Yeah, it's going quite well for them, and they are leading the team's championship by a pretty commanding margin, to be honest. They've got double the points of anyone else because they've got just so many cars in this series that nobody can really outscore them. So they're doing very well at the moment. Currently running, best car is 4th in LMP3, and their best car is 6th in GT3. So doing quite well at the moment for Speedy Mike. And speaking of which, actually, let's go LMP3, P5. The battle's starting to crop up again. Akio is on the back of Capone now for 5th, sorry.
Yeah, and Akio again for an aggressive move, nearly touching the back of Capone into the S's. Now heading to Pinheirinho and out the Bico de Pato, but Akio is not going to have the room. But both Capone and Akio, because of Jones getting blocked by one of the GT3s, I think that's Kurtoglu blocking Alexander Jones heading to the Junção. Now he backs away, but let's see if both Capone and also Akio are going to have the overtake opportunity. Capone nearly got to the back end, though. That was close, but allows Akio just to get right on the back end and maybe have the draft coming into turn 1.
Yeah, it's looking very close at the moment. Capone's under a little bit of pressure at the moment into turn number 1. Let's see if there's going to be any move. Probably too far back, but he might fancy a dive. Well, he's gone for it. Right up the inside there for Akio. And he's actually overshot the corner a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, gone round.
Right, we have a car spun at turn 1. Take caution.
He's lost a
Going
few
again
more
now.
positions there. P number 8 for Akio now. After that big dive, it was too much. And he spun round and lost a whole load more positions.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the replay. That was a side contact, and the problem is there was just Kurtoglu right on the backside and Benzis, and I think the worst of who got it was Benzis. And he got massive damage up in the front, and there was a few parts coming out of the track, but unfortunately Benzis just couldn't avoid it, and will allow Kurtoglu to have the battle run.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but Capone and Jones are continuing on with their battle. Speedy Mike versus Energy Racing. As Akio's all the way down in P8, 13 seconds behind anyone else, which is not ideal for him indeed. But anyway, back up to this battle. For P4, Alex Jones versus Lorenzo Capone. It seems that if there's an LMP3 battle going on, that GT3 just decides to calm down for a second, and then the opposite seems to happen. It's quite useful for us, so we can see everything that's going on, which is very useful for us at the moment. We're into the final hour now, final 57 minutes really, as Alex Jones is under a little bit of pressure from Lorenzo Capone into turn 1.
Yeah, and by the way, we're talking about coming around the hour. Here we are. Both leaders from GT3 class are into the pit lane. James Johnson, actually, there's our answer. He went for tires. So the driver from Zuncho, the leader of the GT3 stand, is going for tires. And he will come out of the pit lane anytime soon, as we have Arisi also coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah, handy racing now. Marco Mazzetti now leading the race. Number 74, Whitwood are in second with Daniele Brambilla, who's fallen a long way back after his trials and tribulations in the first hour. So a totally topsy-turvy GT3 order. Arisi's out in 7th position, and James Johnson has gained, well, a second, but he's still got a 10-second deficit to close on Arisi in this second hour.
Yeah, it is going to be quite complicated to close down those gaps. It has to come down on how well they're going to be able to do the pit lane. As we have Mazzetti just over the Junção, he goes on the inside line and just rides the entry, the pit line entry, and he's going to make his pit lane. The other GT3 should be coming in as well.
So then let's see, as if Mazzetti comes in, he does, he's in the pit lane, as is Brambilla. I think Wrecker's pitted under that code 80, so he'll be staying out. I do believe, I'm not entirely sure. It was hard to catch everything under that code 80, to be honest. It seemed like everyone was coming in, apart from just a few people in LMP3, so it was rather complicated, but we'll try and work this one out as the GT3s begin to pit. I believe this is really the window for them now, as Afiat in the rookie in HM Engineering hasn't come in, but almost everyone else has. So yeah, it's definitely pit stop time in the GT3s at the moment.
Unless you manage to save an extra lap field, most of the GT3s, the bulk of it, will be coming into this lap. We have Brambilla. Now we have to pay attention on the tire strategy. Some of those cars are actually going for tires. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for tires. So because the other guys did, and again, Interlagos is an abrasive track. It consumes a lot of the tires because of the traffic changes. We see Mazzetti just coming out of the pit lane. He will come ahead of Brambilla, and good job by Mazzetti to keep that car on track, and doing good for his team.
Yeah, he is indeed. And meanwhile, in LMP3, Luca Berg has got past David Yunt. Finally, he's into 6th place, and he's got his sights set on Lorenzo Capone. He's actually, I'd say, he's an outside shot for the win in this race. It would be absolutely incredible if he did. Ruben Correa-Alves is the leader of those who have pitted so far, and Luca Berg is 4th of those. So, and he's got Capone and Alex Jones not too far ahead of him, so that's good for him, and he's doing an incredible job from 18th on the grid. Incredibly important in the championship, as I've mentioned already, but we won't hammer that home too much for now. We'll just focus on this race as it is at the moment, because it has been a good one so far, and yeah, definitely the best driver so far this race, definitely in my eyes, has been Luca Berg.
Yeah, so far Luca Berg with an outstanding driver. I think he got unlucky when he did the qualify, because, well, if you really want to get a perfect lap, Interlagos is one of the hardest tracks for you to get a perfect. He just managed to go over Capone because Capone made a mistake into the exit of the X's, and just before the Pico de Pato to allow Luca Berg to come in, and now he's on P5. Now the question is if Capone has the pace to actually match, because David Jones is right behind.
Yeah, he's going to have to concentrate here. He's going to have to get over that overtake pretty quickly and defend from David Yunt. Right now, just under... Oh, wait, he's in the slipstream. Not quite under the rear wing, you wouldn't say. He's a little bit distanced, and I think he's probably too far for a dive. But look at the straight line speed on the number 29. Energy Racing. Lorenzo Capone actually pulling away from David Yunt on the straight there. That was outrageous straight line speed, but nowhere near close enough for a move down into turn 1.
I think he's struggling because if he has a lot of a straight line speed, not just in the draft, it is because the car is maybe on a medium to low downforce, so it allows the car to have better line speed. But when coming into the turns, it gets more complicated because you need some of the you don't need major, I would say major downforces most of the turns. I think the only turn itself might be the Mergulho and then into Junção and maybe the Cida do Lago. So yeah, the rest of it is kind of like just backseat driving and you really want to count with top line speed. But here Capone makes a mistake once again, allow David Young to try to go for an inside look, but it just blocks him blatantly, and Young has to back away from the move.
Yeah, it was not an orthodox place to be making the move, it has to be said, but it was, he still went for it. Number 2 car, Eva Racing, David Young, trying to get through. He was actually 1.5 seconds quicker than Capone on that lap because of that mistake from Capone, who looks like he's really starting to struggle now. Probably didn't take tyres, and he's probably starting to regret that now as he begins to just struggle on these tyres. But he's got good straight line speed. David Newton is barely making any ground up on him at all this straight. So yeah, no moves down into turn 1 this time because he's not quite got the straight line speed to manage it.
Yeah, you just have to turn the cornering speed to match Capone and probably outpace him, and then a little bit of luck involved. Talking about straight line speed and overall performance, take a look at Luca Burke once again. He actually just manages to close down the gap on Alexander John. It was around 2.5 seconds when he actually got overtaken. When Luca did the overtake, and now it's right around the 1 second mark.
Yeah, you just wonder if David Young missed his opportunity there. He had to go when Luca Burke managed to, but he's going to try again. He's maybe trying to go around the outside of this downhill left-hander hairpin, but he's been pushed out there. He can't do it there. Maybe up the inside into turn number 11. Can't quite do it there either. Maybe on the exit gets the traction down. Surely not round the outside of this corner. Well, that will be impressive, but he has managed to get the nose in front now. And maybe another dive from Capone, but he's got way too wide off the road for Capone. And David Young will continue on and get up into 6th position.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the replay over here. Big Jupata, he comes side to side into the Mergulho, and then the Capone nearly to door-to-door contact, but Yuntz just shoves him away a little bit, and Capone just tried to go for a break, and fortunately for Capone, manages to narrowly avoid the wall.
Yeah, meanwhile, back just behind them, there's a pretty impressive train going on in GT3. It's all over 13th position. Witchwood Racing are heading it, number 69 ahead of number 99, and there's some LMP3s mixed in here as well, but it's a 5-car train. It's not even for any points, but these guys are battling pretty hard for it.
Yeah, because you really want to try to move up the standings. He might count for points, but he might count for the bragging rights and stuff. By the way, talking about bragging rights and then coming to the point fray, T-Motors into Speedy Might, Luca Birch just got the faster than you and overtakes Alexander Jones for P4.
Yeah, he's into P4 now, and meanwhile, we'll just go back to this battle in GT3 because it's absolutely crazy going on right now. The LMP3 just going around the outside to lap these guys. The number 69 car, that is Witchwood, and Pushrood Racing are actually heading the train. My mistake there, but or they are now because they've just got overtaken. There's a bit of more side-by-side action going on in the background as well, with a McLaren and an Aston Martin. The McLaren coming out on top there. That's number 66 car, and that is HM Engineering, who ran a little bit longer on their first stint.
Yeah, he ran Rifki Afyad actually ran it a little bit longer than usual. Came to the pit lane with around 54 minutes left into this race, and therefore lost a lot of position. Was P3, dropped back into P16 right now. So he's gonna have to work. He's gonna have lesser fuel though. Basically near less to equal fuel to some of those drivers. Pit lane might have been a little bit faster, but still underperforming late on the break-ins. He's just on the stream, but managed to make the overtake.
Made a rather impressive move there, going up the inside, big dive into turn number 1, and then going around the outside of turn number 2. So not a good a good few corners there for John Piccolo, who was dropped all the way down from 13th in class, now down to 17th, which has not been totally ideal for the Aston Martin driver, but he's actually just got back past again, got back past the McLaren, who's just made a mistake there. As I was looking away for a second, he's just dropped those 2 positions he just gained.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have also Timotej Andonovski retiring due to suspension.
Oh,
So, therefore, another LMP3 retiring from this race. And we also have a battle for top 5 in the GT3 class. We had it, but now it's backed away due to Christian Pallison making a few mistakes and backing away. But don't count on it, because we have also a battle for P22 overall between Zancho and Handy Racing and Lewis McGlade and Marco Mazzetti.
yeah, championship leader, of course, let's not forget. Andonovski out of this race. I did see him going slowly into Junção, so I'm just wondering if he had a few problems on the downhill turn number 12, but we'll probably find out after the race, as the leader is into the pit lane now. Danilo Smariglio is in after around 1 hour 15 minutes in this race. We'll see where he comes out in terms of where Ruben Correa Alves is. It's going to be tight for those guys who pitted under the code 8 to actually make it. It's be very close between those guys, and maybe we'll have a bit of a fuel saving race towards the end of this one. Going to be very exciting nonetheless, as the Andonovski championship leader drops down the order out of the race. And now, who's really going to step up? Is it going to be Luca Burke, or is it going to be the Caspian Motorsport car of Akio? I'm going to say Luca Burke is going to be leading by the end of this race.
I don't think so, because where's Lucas Meriglio is even he's actually just over turn 4, so fast, and I mean real fast pit service for Meriglio, just putting fuel. They didn't even put tires, so he must be feeling comfortable with those tires for that wave-free car.
Sorry, I must clarify. I think that Luca Burke will be leading the championship standings at the end of the race. Maybe not the actual race. I do agree that Smariglio is in a pretty commanding position there with 11 seconds over Alves, and obviously Veltons is probably going to come out in between those two somewhere. Maybe Luca Burke hasn't quite got the pace for a race-winning car today. Veltons is in then. Let's see where he will come out in terms of Smariglio and Ruben Correa Alves when he exits the pits in 30 seconds time.
And meanwhile, Veltons just came into the pit lane doing his pit service right now, so just revving up a little bit his cars. Smariglio just passed by turn 1, so he's gonna retake the lead of this race, and Veltons now is coming out of the pit lane. But for Veltons, though, it's going to be quite complicated, because he's going to come with about, I was going to say, 2 second to 3 second gap to Ruben Correa.
Yeah, it's not going to be a big gap. It's about maybe nearly 6 seconds, actually. It looks a little bit less than that.
Yeah, bigger than that.
But it's corrected itself now. 4 seconds between second and third, and we do believe that everyone's going to the end in LMP3 now. So I do believe that nobody will have to make a pit stop, especially those two cars that have just pitted, Smariglio and Veltons. I don't believe they'll have to pit again. Alves, Burke and Jones, the likes of them may have to have a splash if they've got this completely wrong, but I think they will manage to make it to the end of this race now.
Yeah, that will be a question mark to be looked upon when we come into the final maybe 15 minutes of this race, if those cars can actually handle a full hour load on those LMP3s. I know LMP3s kind of match GT3s in terms of cornering speed, straight line speed a little bit, but in cornering they're a little bit superior in terms of acceleration. So it might spend a little bit more fuel than the GT3s do. So it will be a question to be looked over when we come down again to those final 15 minutes.
Yeah, it will be an interesting one. We've got about just less than 45 minutes to go in this race now. Just looking up and down the order, Lewis McGlade is actually in a battle here. It's about to be the battle for 8th as they're just passing someone in the pit lane. He's actually just been passed by Marco Mazzetti, and that gap is just a second now, but thought I'd just mention the Zancho driver at least, number 67. He's not driving the championship contending car. Those guys in the 67 all the way down in 11th in the championship, but the other Zancho car is in championship contention. That is the number 62. They're in third. James Johnson chasing down the guys in second place in the championship, Lorenzo Arisi, and that gap is actually coming down. Maybe by the end of this race we'll have a GT3 battle for the lead.
Yeah, and I think for point standings, it might become interesting. If I'm not mistaken, third place got 18 points, right?
Well, I'll have to check for you. I'll just check for you quickly. I've got it in front of me now. Third place is 21 points, and then fourth,
Right, 21
fourth
points.
is 18.
So if it keeps going like this, Lorenzo Arisi is about to take the leadership of the GT3 class.
Yes, I do believe he is. It's very close in the GT3 championship, but he would take the lead of that championship by just 2 points, I may add.
Which is the actual difference in points between both teams.
It's very close between those two, and I'm expecting a fantastic finale at Le Mans. It will probably not be settled by then. To be fair, it will go right down to the wire, I do believe. But yeah, as we are reminded, I was just going to mention as well, number 73, Team Rookie Monsters are leading in GT3, but we're acting like they're not because they will have to stop again as they stopped under that code 80.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising. They stopped under. I think they was trying to go for a strategy that would benefit them in the long run. They maybe got another code 80, maybe some crash involved, and try to save again at least 4 minutes of fuel. But for now, it's not enough. They're gonna probably come down to the wire, and when it comes down again to the final 15 minutes, 15 to 10 minutes, and then have to refuel. Luckily for them, it is just a refuel, so they won't lose a lot of spots. They might still get a top 5 out of this.
Yeah, it could be. They could get out in time. We'll have to wait and see where they do come out when they decide to make their pit stop. Let's go up to P number 3 in LMP3. We've been watching that for the last couple of seconds on the stream. It's very close between Luca Burke and Ruben Correa Alves. Burke continuing his march up the field, but he's not going to gain any more positions into turn 1 on this occasion. Slowly been closing in on the Scuderia Leone driver in front of him by 0.8 of a second on that particular lap.
And Alexander Jones just can't keep up with them, even though he's kind of like he does seem out of contact, but for Alex, any mistakes done by both drivers would allow Alex Jones to come in and have another battle for another top 5 spot. But you can see Burke. Look at the aggressive line done by Burke. Burke had to back away off his car to avoid contact with Ruben. But Burke is on a mission. He wants that position. He's not afraid of bullying people out of the way.
No, he's all over the back. I believe he's got a bit more downforce on the car than everybody else. He's got a bit more. He's set the wings a bit high. He's looking up the inside here into the hairpin, running around the outside of turn number 12. Surely this can't be done. Oh, he's going to manage it. I think he has actually managed it around the outside through turn number 12. Set it up for himself in diving down the inside at turn number 11. And yeah, he's done an absolutely fantastic job to get in front of Ruben Correa Alves. Now, we'll see if Alves can use the slipstream and maybe better straight line speed to get back past. He's closing in at an alarming rate now. He's all over the back of Burke. Burke goes a little bit defensive. Can Alves get through on the brakes? Doesn't look like it, so Burke is into a podium position now.
Yeah, he's into a podium position now, and if I'm not mistaken, he still had to make his splash and dash, but real good job by Luca Burke considering where he was at the start of the race. Even though he had he locked his brake, into turn one just to try to retain that lead he has on Correa, but he managed to do it, and you can see once again he's on a mission, and I think Arjen needs to be careful about it. He's still gonna be speed two, I think, by the end of the race, Arjen Veltens, but Luca Burke is trying to prove a point.
Yeah, and he's already got a bit of a gap on Alves there. About over a second, just over a second now, encountering a little bit more traffic now. He's going to dial up the inside. It's turn 11 as he did last lap. A little bit more of an easier overtake on this occasion, however. Anyway, let's look up and down the field. There's not actually too many battles left, unfortunately. The battle for third just petering out a little bit now between Speedy Mike and Scuderia Leone, so finally a bit of a calm moment here, which is finally taken place. We have got Caspian Motorsport versus Pushrod Racing over 12th position in GT3. That is the only battle going on at the circuit right now, but there will be more cropping up before the end of this race, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, there will be some more like close door to door and also back to front bumper to back bumper action when we come down to the final minutes. But I think we can finally breathe a little bit, don't we, Ewan?
Yeah, definitely. We've not got as many battles as we did just a few minutes ago. Obviously, this Caspian and Pushrod Racing battle is the closest. Good to see the Audi getting a bit of airtime. I think it's quite well. Makes a very nice sound, that's for sure. It's good to listen to. But the Aston Martin seems to be the more popular of options in this particular series, in the GT3 class, which is quite opposite to real life. You don't often see very many of them in real life, and you do see quite a lot of Audis, but it's total opposite here. We've got a lot of Astons and not very many Audis or Porsches or the other one that I forgot, McLaren.
Yeah, we've seen, if I'm not mistaken, I was looking, we have 4 teams with the Porsche 911 GT3R. We have around the same number to the 720. That would be 4 to maybe 3 teams with the 720S. Then we have the Audi having a little bit of majority number. That would have been 6 or 7 teams, and maybe 6 teams, and then the rest of it, the bulk, is all Aston Martin. To be quite honest, if we are to judge sounds, I'll still take a V10 over the V8. I'm sorry, people.
Well, yeah, I would have taken the V12 from the old Aston Martin, but the Audi probably just nips the Aston on the sound, in my opinion, at least for this version of the 2 respective cars. We'll get to hear them throughout the rest of the season, I am sure, especially next week at Sebring. The sounds will be bouncing off the walls, which are a little bit closer at Sebring. Very nice to see Sebring on the calendar again this year. Both in the VEC and the VLMC. It's the bumps will have to be respected, as they say in real life. And then of course we've got Portland for round number 6. That's going to be absolute madness. And Le Mans obviously for round number 7, the 4-hour race. A little bit longer championship finale. That is going to be a fantastic race as well, just to get warmed up for the real for the VEC 24 hours of Le Mans, then the real life 24 hours of Le Mans. Always a very exciting part of the year for endurance racing fans, and this year should be no different, with a great VLMC race, a great VEC race, and then hopefully a very good real life race as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait a little bit longer for the end of the season, the business end of the season, you could call it. But that doesn't mean that these races in the earlier rounds aren't just as exciting as we have been seeing throughout the last 90 minutes or so. It's been battles everywhere, but just starting to peter out just for the moment.
And 2 things we can talk about is that, don't forget, we also have the Daytona 24 happening in about, we are here in Brazil, it is about 1:34 p.m. so it's about 2 hours. So we still have Daytona 24, which was a good. I had the pleasure of going to Daytona last year to watch the Real Life 24. Unfortunately, we had the red flag during the final 5 for 6 hours due to the torrential rain we had in Daytona, but it's still a great experience nevertheless. But another thing that was brought up that by over here, Sean Jacobs, and it's quite important, is that we are having a BRP next week. People, I'm talking, the VA, the Advantage might be the superior car right now. So when we come to Sebring, we have no idea on who's going to be the top car, who's going to be the worst car. So this BOP is going to shake up pretty much a whole lot of things when we come to the evaluation of those GT3 cars.
Yeah, the races will just be turned straight on their heads, really, because some cars might have a bit of more of an advantage when it comes to Sebring. Some of the cars that have been struggling might begin to not struggle, which will be nice to see. It's nice to have a mix of manufacturers up at the top of the order. At the moment, it's a bit of an Aston fest at the front, to be honest. We're not really sure if that's down to just the better teams and drivers are driving the Aston Martins, or the Aston actually has an advantage. I'm not in the loop with these GT3 cars enough to actually know enough to make a call on that one, but it will be interesting to see what happens next week. Next month, next race. What happens when these guys embark on the Sebring race for 2 hours in around the Sebring track. But anyway, back to this race. GT3 looking a bit spaced out, but David Young is starting to close on Alexander Jones a little bit. This is the battle for P5 overall and in the LMP3 class.
Yeah, David Young now is going to have a little bit of advantage because Alex Jones once again blocked by another GT3 traffic. If I'm not mistaken, that might be Jack Brown. Yeah, that is Jack Brown from Seawolf. Blocking the exit of a Junção for Alex Jones allows David Young to come in and work the draft, but we saw David Young struggling with the draft. He just can't get the top speed, enough top speed to close down and possibly have a look on the Senna S. He's just gonna have to work around the twisty sections to make an overtake on that speedy mine.
Yeah, it will. It is interesting that he's struggling a bit for straight line speed because he was defending so well early on in the race by dint of having such good straight line speed, and he doesn't seem to really have that anymore. Maybe he's picked up a bit of damage along the way that we haven't seen on the screen, but we'll probably find that out after the race. But we'll see what happens with this battle. There's a bit of traffic in front of them. We've got the 62 car there. That is a GT3, and that's running very well. James Johnson in the Sancho car, still closing on a reseat. I don't know if it's going to be enough this late on in the race, though. It might just be too little too late.
Yeah, we have less than a half hour to this race. So if Johnson wants to actually, have a realistic perspective of trying to overtake Risi, he needs to at least close down with taking 7/10 of a second away per lap, and for him to actually have a realistic option of making an overtaking. Here comes Young now on the back bumper of Jones. Once again, Jones getting blocked by traffic.
Yeah, he struggled to get past the 62 that time, really. I know that the Sancho car is a top-running GT3, so he wouldn't have been held up that much, but he still was held for a few more corners than he would have ideally wanted. But obviously, the blue flags are really only informative in endurance racing. You don't have to jump out the way like you do in other racing series, which is a better way of doing it, in my opinion. But anyway, moving on with this battle. Looks like the number 48 car holding on just for now. Alex Jones is under a bit of pressure now from David Young. All over the back for Young. But I don't think he's going to be able to make a move into turn number 6. One of the fastest corners on the track.
Yeah, but you can see Jones struggling a little bit into the Laranjinha as they come into the S's. Now diving down into the Pinheirinho and now heading to the Big Gipato, but Young with a superior sector 2 compared to Jones, and Jones just struggling. You can see his car is quite wobbly into those more twisty sections than Young.
Yeah, we've got I thought that was a leading LMP3, but one of the guys down the order, just coming in front of the race leader there, I believe that was. But talking of the leader, just to update you, nothing has changed at the front. Wave 3 Esports still leading by 6 seconds now to Arjun Veltins in the Scuderia Leone car, just in behind. And yeah, that gap is closing a little bit, but it's not changing dramatically. And in GT3, Rekus is still leading, but he still needs to make that final pit stop, which is really going to ruin his race, really, in the end. So, concentrating on this battle for P5, Alex Jones still ahead of David Young, and Speedy Mike holding on quite well right now for P5. They're actually both closing on Ruben Correa Alves, who's seeming to struggle in the second half of this stint now. Only 27 minutes to go, but he's about got 2 seconds ahead of Alex Jones, who is bearing down on him, really, with David Young in tow right now. It's interesting to see these gaps really close down now, and especially in the traffic, the two behind seem to be having a bit of a better time of it.
Yeah, I think also another reason that Correa Alves is struggling, you can see there one of the Caspian GT3s on the SF zone. He's being more conservative, trying to overtake the cars compared to the top three. Therefore, he loses precious time to make the necessary overtakes, and allows both drivers to come in. But still, Yunt's struggling with the top speed on the straight line, but whoa, boy. That is a very late braking for David Young to close down the gap. He does it, but if he had done 1 meter way too forward, that could have gone very, very wrong.
Yeah, these LMP3s a little bit lighter as their prototypes, I think, than the GT3s. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not really sure. But definitely better braking performance for Yunt there, and he's just got past another GT3 car there. That was number 78. Which is Caspian Motorsport Junior, running all the way down in 13th in his class. Just about to hold up Arisi as well, as the GG3s are starting to lap GT3s themselves now. But for P4 now, this is about to become a 3-car train, because Alves is really starting to lose pace.
Yeah, he lost a lot of pace coming into the sector number 2 under the Cida do Lago. He struggled hard on the braking, went far off wide into the Cida do Lago, and then on the next few turns heading to the S is also struggling with grip on his car. So unless people can correct me, he might be going for a double stint on the tires, and he's struggling with grip.
Yeah, it looks that way a little bit, but we will have to wait and see. It certainly looks that these tyres are starting to betray him a bit, but because he's lost about 5 seconds actually in not very long, really. He's losing pace quite quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's down in 6th, maybe even worse by the end of this race. It's not looking too promising for Alves right now, but his tyre situation could improve relative to everyone else. But we'll just wait and see. Negotiating the traffic well there. Jones will have to do the same. But Yunt might get stuck behind here. We'll just have to wait and see what he does. Oh, he's got stuck behind through the Ferradura. Gonna have to nip down the inside into turn number 8. And he does so. Doesn't lose too much time, fortunately for him.
Yeah, and Yunt kind of bullying his way one of the push rod cars, but still managed to get away with it without any problems. And Jonas also, I can see he's struggling for grip a little bit. So if Yunt can actually come up with something, he has to come up into the second sector, because both drivers are struggling a little bit. Oh, Yunt also struggling on the exit of Juncel. Had to, wiggle his car, get a little bit off the gas, and control that car.
Yeah, it seems that everyone's struggling now. I don't think many, if any, of these guys have actually taken tyres at their pit stop, because some of them are really beginning to struggle towards the end of this race, particularly Yunt, who's about to get stuck behind a GT3. Actually, Alves is probably struggling the most now I think about it. He's Obviously, that gap now to Luca Burke, 8 seconds. He was overtaken not that long ago, so really not going well for Alves right now, but he'll be hoping that things improve and tyre situation for everyone else gets bad as well, as Alex Jones gets a good run out of turn number 4. Let's see if he can make a move into turn number 6. Around the outside. Can he do it? No, I don't think he can. He's going to have a look, but not there. Maybe down the inside into turn 8. No, he's pulled back into line, so Alves is really going to have to do some good defending here if he wants to hold on to this position.
And here comes Jan over the big Gipato lay braking. Oh, Alex Jones just goes way too deep into the curb of the inside lane. Has to save his car and allows Jan to come in and try to go for a late look as we head down to the final 20 minutes in this race. And I can see all 3 drivers are struggling for grip, but the guy who's getting the best grip out of it is seems to be Ruben Alves, despite him kind of oversteering his car. Not oversteering, but counter steering quite heavily his car.
Yeah, and that's allowed Junt to get right on the back of Alex Jones there, but no moves done on this particular occasion. We're on lap 66, by the way. It's quite a lot of laps around here. Short circuit, of course, just under 90 seconds per lap, and these guys reeling off the laps in pretty short order. When we have 6 hours around here for the VEC race, I believe it's 6 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, 6 hours. There's going to be a lot of laps completed. Over 200, of course. Well over 200, I would expect. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And obviously the traffic is going to be even more severe with those guys, with 3 different classes cramming themselves into this very short circuit. It's going to be interesting to watch. But back to this race, and David Young, big traffic up ahead. Maybe this is his opportunity.
I think his opportunity trying to go for an inside dive actually went away because of Jones overly going wide into the Junso, and that allows Yun to come in. He's gonna try to use the GT3 as a draft train heading to the outside line, and Jones is just sticking to that inside line. He's coming to the pit lane. He's gonna have to do a pit service.
Alex Jones in the pit lane. So does that mean anybody else will have to pit in the last 20 minutes of this race? That is an interesting one. Well, I can't think of any other reason really that he would have to come in. So we'll have to see how short this pit stop is, as he's just stopped in his box now. We'll have to see how long this stop is. Maybe, well, it can't be a penalty because otherwise we'd be notified of it, and it can't be tyres. It wasn't a very long stop. Must have been just fuel. So
just fuel.
Interesting. He's all the way down in 7th now, even behind Akiol.
Yeah, Alex Jones tried to go for, again, those Code 80 gambles were just not enough. And I think what damaged a little bit, I know Jones just put fuel under Code 80. So if he had gone for tires, maybe he could have lost, he would have lost around 30 seconds just changing the tires. But I think in a perspective of the race, that could have helped them a little bit in terms of not pushing the car so much.
Yeah, meanwhile, that has allowed Yunt to get on the back of Alves now, and maybe P4 is in the question for David Yunt, who's kept control of his tyres very well indeed. Now he is, well, all over the back of Alves, and he's going to be challenging for a 4th place position. I think podium's probably out of reach for Yunt on this particular occasion, but we'll have to wait and see if there are any issues for the guys up in front. Down to turn 1. Not much traffic up in front of them now, just the 69 car. So, yeah, pretty clean road, and we'll see if Yunt can actually make the move finally.
And talking about cars in the track, we have around 10 DNFs from all classes itself. I'm just trying to take a proper look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was gonna say, I think we have 6 of the GT LMP3s retiring, and then 4 of the GT3s retire into this race. So for the LMP3s, nearly half of the grid is gone. But most of them in either major mistakes or mistakes that have or things that have out of their reach.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they've not been able to continue on in this race, which is a bit of a shame. But David Yunt all over the back of Alves now, and he's actually got the move done up the inside into turn number 11. Good move for him on this occasion, but maybe Alves can get back up the inside into Juncao. He's all over the back, looking every which way, see if he can get through. Maybe he can use his better straight line speed, it seems, to get back up in front. Just a bit of lap traffic to negotiate here. Up the inside they go, fairly easily done. Let's see if Alves can actually get up back in front of Yunt here. Yunt defends very aggressively to the inside, right hand side as we look at it. Can Alves break later than Yunt? Doesn't seem to be the case as they all continue on round turns 1 and 2. Maybe a good exit off turns 2 and 3. I don't think he will be able to have a reply to that. So David Yunt back up into 4th position now, and I think that he'll probably be able to run away.
Yeah, it comes down to how well are Yunt's tires compared to Correa Alves' tires itself. We saw if it is a straight line battle, Yunt is gonna lose every single time. So it comes down to how well can Yunt maneuver through those corners, especially in the twisty sections, and how Alves can be fast in terms of maintaining the draft he's under right now over Yunt. So it comes down to who has the better skills to break off.
Yeah, I think he will have just about enough pace to get away. He's not got away as much as I was expecting, I must admit, but I think he's too far ahead for a dive from Alves on this occasion. If Juncao goes well for him, and it looks like it's been a fairly smooth corner for him there. Very nicely done, and he should pull away over the next couple of laps, in my opinion. So we'll go down to GT3. Battle for 20th overall. Marco Mazzetti and Daniele Brambilla are battling over 8th in class. And this is Handy Racing versus Witchwood RPM Esports. Brambilla started quite high up on the grid, actually. I think he was in the first 3, definitely in the top 5. And he had a bit of a disaster. And he's now all the way down in 9th, but he's looking to make up a few more positions towards the end of this race. See if he can get it done in the final moments here. Final 10 or so minutes, 15 minutes. As it started a little bit past 3 o'clock UK time, 4 o'clock European time. So we'll see in the last 15 minutes whether Brambilla can actually get past that car of Mazzetti in the final moments here.
And Brambilla with some aggressive lines, just applying major pressure on Mazzetti. He tried to go for 2 dive bombs that would have never happened if in the first place he would try to go on. He would have probably gotten himself into an incident. But here comes Brambilla going into the start-finish line, heading to turn 1, just having a look on the outside, and here comes for a late dive into turn 1. Brambilla now takes the move on the mid-apex, and he's going to be able to, seal the deal. But here comes Mazzetti once again, working the draft into Curva de Sol for another overtake attempt, headed into turn number 4.
Yeah, that was a very late but very impressive move there from Brambilla. Let's see if there is any reply. Looking to the outside there for Mazzetti. He can't get it done there. Maybe the over and under, maybe the cutback will do for him. He's right up the bumper of Brambilla now. This is where the accidents could happen around that kind of tricky turn 5 when you're racing other cars. But Brambilla has got through, and he should also be able to get away now as well. So yeah, good move from him there. Very late on the brakes, but very clean as well. Very impressive move, it has to be said. Just ducking out from the slipstream and just not only braking late, but not even overshooting the corner there. He was just perfect on the brakes, and yeah, he should be able to get away now.
Yeah, should be able to get away now. In the meanwhile, Minta's wreck is just coming out of the pits just right. It will be about 4 seconds ahead of Matteo de Krop, so therefore Team Rookie Monsters yielding the position to Lorenzo Rizzi of Waveframe, and Waveframe now taking the lead in the GT3 class with Zancho in 2nd place.
That's actually turned out much better for Reckers than I thought it was going to. He's about 8 seconds behind James Johnson. He's in third position, and now Arisi's gone back to the top as we were expecting. But Reckers is about, yeah, as you said, 7 seconds ahead of De Crop. He's got Wayward LMP3 in between them, but I think he's pretty solid now for getting a podium position, which is great news for him.
Yeah, great news for rookie monster for the number 73 car. And just take a look over here at the standings real quick where the number 73 is, and it is actually within. They're not within any close contention for the championship spot. They are far away back, nearly half points, 39 points away from Zuncho, but they are close from Speedy, my number 83. I'm just trying to take a look where that number 83 car is on the track with Nick De Silva driving that car, and he's in P5, P6 to be quite honest. So real good result, and they could actually get away and go for P3 in the standings.
Yeah, we'll see if that will be possible. Well, in the final 12 minutes of this race now, yeah, we've just gone under 12 minutes to go. So, next battle was on the track then. LMP3 looks like it's pretty much sorted. Smariglio, as long as I've not just cursed him by saying this, but I think he will be able to take the win. He's got 8 seconds over Veltons, but I've almost certainly cursed him now, so sorry about that. Veltons is second, Burke is going to be third. He's got a fairly big margin either side of him, and in GT3, Arisi's got about 8 seconds on James Johnson, so it's all going well at the front there as well. But in terms of battles, Caspian Motorsport Junior and Seawolf Net Race Motorsport seem to be battling on track. You've been watching that on screen for the last couple of moments. It's another Aston Martin versus Aston Martin battle at the moment.
Yeah, Seawolf versus Caspian, and Seawolf getting, I think, the upper edge over here on the XL Junção for Jack Brown. This is just to try to confirm. This is not for a top 10 spot. No, it isn't. It is a P13 spot in the GT3 class. And here comes Brown on the outside, as we have the Caspian on the inside for an aggressive defense. And Caspian is gonna have the advantage on the mid apex. Here comes Brown on the outside, trying to go for a better run, but he's not gonna have that run that he wants.
No, unfortunately not. Hasn't paid off for him this time. He's much closer than he was this time last lap, though. Number 64 car all over the back. Jack Brown looking to get the move done, but he looked like he just eased off a bit there towards the end, to be honest. And an LMP3 has split them apart, which is not particularly ideal for Brown, but it's been a good opportunity for the Caspian Motorsport car to get away, and now the LMP3 is going to be a little bit around the outside through turn number 6. Not an ideal place to get through, but they've all survived and managed it. So, yeah, this battle will continue on. But yeah, unfortunately for them, it's not for points at the moment.
Meanwhile, we are just under 10 minutes into this race, so if we are to see any GT3s coming into the pit lane, it has to be now. But I think all GT3s are under the hour, under the fuel strategy, so they're not gonna come into the pit lane. The question is if Burke, Yont, and also Correa Alves have their cars long enough to actually make it out to the end of this race. I got told that they can last 1 hour and 10 minutes, but we saw with Jones that isn't the case. He had to go into the pit lane, so the question mark still lingers for that P3, P4, and P5 spot.
Well, I thought that the Code 80 was actually before that 1 hour 10 window, so I'm not actually sure if they will make it, whether they've been fuel saving or what's been happening. So, yeah, many questions still to be answered, and we've only got just under 9 minutes to go here. Jack Brown looks like he's got a better run this time. Bit defensive there from Caspian as they come into turn 6. Maybe the up and under for Jack Brown again. Very close, almost pushing him through turn number 5 here. Can he make the move? Can he go down the inside into turn 6? Maybe the outside will do better for him. Not quite. The move can't be done there. There's no way you can go around the outside of turn 6 and 7. That is just outrageous. So, yeah, it's he's going to have to wait for a different opportunity to get through.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait for another opportunity to go through, and Here comes Brown into the Cida do. They're coming into the Mergulho, which is base. So you guys know, I'm saying most of the stuff in Portuguese, most of the curves in Portuguese because I'm Brazilian. I'm used with the track, so don't get if you guys are like, oh, you is not saying the curves right. He's gonna butcher the names. It's alright. He butchers the names, so I'm more just with the track than anything else. But here comes Jack Brown once again into the last turn. Gonna have the long run off. Is about 1 kilometer down whole run. And here comes once again Onchel defending that inside line, and Brown with the draft coming to the inside lane, late braking for Jack
Whoa.
Brown this turn around, but still Onchel having the upper hand into the exit of the Senna S.
That was a good defence actually from the Caspian Motorsport driver because Jack Brown was very deep on the brakes there, and I thought he was actually going to get the move done. Because when you go deep and round the outside for turn number 1, you get the inside for turn number 2. So I thought that he actually had the move done there, but no, unfortunately not for him. He has had to stick behind once again, and yeah, I'm trying to stick to corner numbers to be honest, rather than actual names, because these names are just so crazy that I just can't really say them very well. But anyway, this is turn 7 and now turn 8 for the hairpin. No way through for Jack Brown on this occasion, but he's right up the bumper of his fellow Aston Martin. He's going to be sick of seeing the red and black design on that Aston, because he's been looking at it for quite a while now.
It has been quite a while, but I think they're enjoying the battle. It has been a quite clean battle between those two Aston Martins. We have another Aston Martin on the fray joining them, but that is the 3rd place in Mentas Rekkes, so he's going to be able to overtake both drivers. I think this could be a good opportunity for Jack Brown if he's trying to make an overtake, to use Rekkes as his link shot, and then the away frame LMP3 right behind, and then Niels Merillo going for an overtake on turn 1. He just waits for it. Jack Brown is on the outside, and he try to look once again. They can glide very clustered on the turn 1 and 2, but they get away all of them unscathed.
Yeah, they're almost nose to sail, these 4, and this LMP3 could really wreak havoc with this battle. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like it's a good run for Jack Brown on the exit of this turn, but the LMP3 could be in the way. He's trying to dive down the inside of all 3 of them. 3 for 1, there he goes. And Marcus Rekkes has actually got past Jack Brown as well. So, oh, that's not good for Brown, because he's just dropped a position to, well, he's not dropped a non-track position. A position in the standings, but he has on track. So we'll see how quickly Rekkes can dispose of the Caspian car in front, but not yet. These guys have actually got a car in between them now, which is really helping the Caspian Motorsport car.
All right, this is interesting. I got Marco Mazzetti just doing a drive-through, and that is a drive-through for you know, keeping the car off track. He's got so many off tracks, the game gave him a drive-through.
Yeah, that is not good. I've seen a few of them cropping up, but I've not noticed anyone in particular getting too many of them. So that is unfortunate. That's the only one we've seen, I do believe, unless we've missed one. So that is going to be interesting to work out. But we are into the final 5 minutes now, well into the final 5. And Rekkes is actually losing a bit of straight line speed there. Oh no, sorry. Rekkes is already past these guys. Jack Brown trying to go round the outside. Will he be able to get the move done on this occasion? No. He still has to stick in behind the Caspian Motorsport car. Number 73 already through. Mantus Rekkes was already through, and I was there thinking that was just a lap. Someone putting a lap on somebody else, but Jack Brown had a legitimate overtake attempt on that occasion, but still can't get through.
And I was taking a look at it real quick. I know it is still far back. It's around 8 seconds between one driver to another. I'm just trying to take a look over here. Yeah, it's around 8 seconds. It's actually 6 seconds to one another, but it's going to get bigger now. If Jack Brown and Onchel keep playing like this, with the 64 and the other car keep playing like this, it will allow Rafik Effiat from HM Engineering to come by and become a 3-way battle when we come into the final few minutes.
Yeah, we've literally got about just over 3 minutes to go now in this race. And another LMP3 is on the back of them. Velton's It's actually being closed down by Burke here at the front of the race. The gap's 5 seconds, but it might be just a bit too much to close down at this stage of the race. Quite a busy part of the track, actually. This battle for 13th in class. A few more cars coming up behind them. Maybe whether they're on the same lap or not. There's a lot of cars around them in the general area there. So Veltons gets past. 3 minutes to go, and we'll have to see if Jack Brown can make a last few minutes overtake here.
Yeah, here comes Brown working the draft once again, but then Onchel is having a sweet spot over here looking at the group of Decido do Lago and working that rookie monsters draft to try to, work towards his favor. Is going to be so, I think, so sweet for Onchel to keep that Aston Martin right ahead of him. That talking about Jack Brown, went way too deep into the Laranjinha and overshot his braking point and allowed the energy racing team of Lorenzo Caponi to overtake him and overlap him.
Wow, that was incredibly close, to be honest, because I'm amazed he didn't spin there, really. He was so sideways, and now he's all out of shape again because his rear tyres are not going to be thanking him for that one. That was a big slide. It looks like Caspian are pretty safe in that 13th position now. That's 25th overall, but still no points for them, unfortunately, unless something catastrophic happens in the last couple of minutes here. But yeah, that is the battle for 13th in class gone, and this race is coming to a close now. It's been a good race. The last half an hour has started to the positions have kind of consolidated themselves, and they've really spaced out a bit. But it looks like Akyol has actually got up to. So David Young has had a problem somewhere. Was that the drive-through you were talking about earlier? I can't actually remember who's been in for a drive-through, who's had issues, and so much has happened that most of it has actually just come out of my mind, and I've forgotten most of it. So that's unfortunate, but Akyol has had a good recovery, driving to 5th position in LMP3. That will get him 16 points, and Luca Burke will be getting 21 points, which is a 5-point gain. So Luca Burke looks like he will be possibly leading the standings. Yes, he will. He'll be leading by 1 point. So that is... no, he won't. That's terrible maths. He will be leading by... I can't do the mental maths. I'm sorry. But I think Luca Burke will be leading the championship by the end of this... race. We're hearing that David Junt had to have a splash of fuel, but we are just onto the final lap now. Just watching Danilo Smeriglio start lap number 82, and this will be the final lap as we have just run out of time around about now.
Yes, and Danilo Smeriglio having a real good race, and for Waveframe. I think Waveframe having a great race thus far, and I think the Italian team will be quite happy with the performance of their drivers. I think they're gonna have pineapple pizza for the celebration. I'm just
good choice.
If I say pineapple pizza in Italy, they're gonna probably throw me out of the country. I'm sorry, Italians. I'm partially Italian too, but sometimes I have to say it. Question to you, Ewan, before we close out this race and Danilo's doing his final turns. Favorite pizza?
Pineapple, to be honest.
Thank you.
Pineapple.
Thank
yeah,
you.
It's just great. But anyway, coming up to the final corner now. The pizza discussions are going on, but sidestepping all of that, Danilo Smeriglio is going to take a pretty good win here. Waveframe Esports not had the best of season so far. It's been pretty average for them, but their season is just about to get a whole lot better as Waveframe Esports win the 2 hours of Sao Paulo in LMP3 and overall by roughly 8 seconds to Arjun Veltons. Is going to come home second in the number 50 Scuderia Leon. Good strategy from those two to avoid all the battles, and a great drive from Luca Burke as well to get home in third for the Speedy Mike Racing on the alternate strategy. Just looking up and down the order now for Waveframe Esports in GT3, Lorenzo Arisi, looks like he's going to take the victory in that class, but he's not quite crossed the line yet. He's still got nearly a lap to go.
Yeah, well, here comes Arisi for his last lap just over the Laranjinha, and he's gonna make the all corner save. He has quite a hefty gap. Well, not a hefty gap. He has a lifetime gap. He can lose this race if he wanted to. He can stop the car right now and still would have win the race because James Johnson just went over the line, and his time is counted. So the only driver in GT3 class is actually doing a lap so far. Oh, aside the Crop and Mazzetti, which are just about to come to the finish line, will be him. And now here comes Arisi over the Juncel, as other people might say Juncao. I know it's Juncao. It's a funny name. I'm
Or
sorry.
Glock Corner.
Or Glock Corner. For me, it's sad.
anything really.
For me, as a Brazilian, it is a sadness corner. You know.
Oh yes, yeah. Probably
Oh
is. But
yeah.
anyway,
So yeah, we get the idea.
here comes Lorenzo Arisi. Then he's going to take another victory in this season. His third victory on the year. Lorenzo Arisi with a whole lap on the field, with Mariglio lapped Johnson, but he didn't quite get to Arisi. So Arisi manages to complete a lap more than everyone else in GT3, which is a commanding victory for him. He will take the championship lead in that category, and in LMP3, I think Speedy Mike will take the championship lead, as the championship lead is Andonovski, retiring with a suspension issue much earlier on in this race. And of course, a lot of the guys actually not completing the race. About 30 guys of the 42 who started are still left, which is a high rate of attrition, but it's been a good race, quite action-packed, lots of battles, maybe quieting down a little bit in the last half an hour, but as the race results have just cycling across your screen. But yeah, good victory, a great day for Wave Frame Esports, winning both LMP3 and GT3.
Yeah, great day for Wave Freem, or Wave Italy if you prefer, because actually the real name of the team is Wave Italy. Freem is just their sponsor for this championship, but real good run from them. Also, Velton's having a real clean run and keeping the car on track, and rewarded the P3. Luke Burke with the drive of the day, in my opinion. For Speedy might have maybe getting rewarded with the championship lead for the LMP3 class when they come down into the final results. And then the battle in GT3 is going to get more clustered because, you know, John Zuncho just lost the lead of the championship. So now coming to Sebring, it will be a big question mark in terms of car performance since we have the BRP coming. And so let's just see if the BMW. The Aston Martin is still going to retain the advantage over the Porsche GT3R.
Okay, so that has been it. We've got a gap. We've got great championship fights and a great race coming up next month at Sebring, the 2 hours of Sebring. And that should be a fantastic race. Make sure you join us for that. And also, make sure you join us for the 6 hours of Interlagos in VEC. That should be a fantastic race as well. But that will just about do it for this broadcast. Thank you to all the drivers. Thank you to all the viewers for tuning in. Thank you to Lorenzo for joining me on this broadcast. It's been a great pleasure to commentate on this one for you. But that has been the 2 hours of Sao Paulo. Thank you very much for watching. But until next time, goodbye.